Hello and welcome to Cedar's Heartlight from Cedar Pathways. I'm Jamie, but my spiritual name is Cedar, which I found from noticing that the essence of myself and my energies closely reflect that of the western red cedar trees. Pathways from Cedar Pathways is an acknowledgement of how I want to assist people in finding different pathways through their lives by finding their own choices and helping them to discover these. If you've been with me before, welcome back, because I've been noticeably absent for most of this year. Other activities that I engage in over the year include gardening work for many customers, and it was quite the big year. But I'm back with a new project here that I hope will support you in a different way. I've always had an interest in oracle and tarot cards, of different sounds and energy methods. And I wanted to put together something that reflected this. Also, often we are looking for the answers in our future versus being present with those energies and the decisions we are trying to make in our lives right now that will support our future activities. So the flavor of what I'm going to offer goes further along those lines. In essence, there are 3 sections to what I'll be offering. One includes tarot or oracle cards and crystals, and examining those with an intuitive vision versus described knowledge. The second is of what I call Shamanic Reiki, and that's using Reiki to open an energy portal and to my inner vision and to see what information can come through. The third aspect is of supportive resonance, which is, again, using that portal of energy to bring sounds that are supportive of the path that you are on. So these are 3 types of things that I'm going to be working with within these videos. But I'm also want to encourage you to take a particular path through them. Maybe you'll choose to listen to the descriptions of the oracle tarot cards and crystal. Or maybe you choose not to listen to any of the words at all and go to listen to the sounds of that particular avenue. Or maybe you want something in between, which is to have energy come through and also hear the words associated. Today I'm going to offer 3 different pathways, but that's going to be 9 different options. And when you have 9 different options or choices, the number of pathways through those choices is actually 362,880 pathways, different pathways. So just think of all of the choices that are available to you in what seems like a small number of 9. hope this supports your journey in life today and further on. Thank you, and let's get started with whatever path you choose right now. Hello everyone, welcome to today's card and crystal path. I'm going to smudge a little bit of cedar before we begin. To clear the channels, the paths you might choose today. Choices that we have for the cards and crystals today include cornelian stone, 5 of Wands, and the bird of cardinal. Another choice is an agate, Knight of Pentacles, and the turkey. And another choice still is the Brucelli bluestone, the hierophant, and the raven. So when you choose a path here, we'll get more into detail about each of these aspects. Path number 1, as I'm calling it today, includes, as I had said, a cornelian crystal. This one happens to be in the shape of a heart and has unfortunately been broken before. There's a fine crack in the middle here. It makes me think of the ways in which our hearts have broken and then also mended. But the stone of carnelian in general is related to the sacral chakra, to our point of creativity. Although it extends outward to the lower root chakra and upward to the solar plexus. But in essence, it's about bringing our creativity forward in the world, bringing it up from our root, something that's been grounded in the earth. And now we're trying to empower it through our creativity chakra and up into our power center, the solar plexus. So this pathway seems to be about some kind of empowerment. The 5 of Wands here shows a beaver. And if you think of a beaver, you may know that they dam up powerful waters to create a home. And water is very, very powerful, even in its lightest flow. It can cause erosion, and it can be a more powerful force than people realize when they go swimming and are overtaken by the waters. So the beaver has to be very creative in the way that he puts together the different materials and branches, and he has to swim through those powerful channels of water and make those placements in just the right way so that they don't flow away from each other. A funny little story that I'm remembering recently was in a video of beavers being taken care of, and there were a pair of them, but they didn't like each other very well. When one needed to go somewhere else, the one left behind wanted to make sure that that energy wasn't going to come back into the room. There were no waters in the room, but this beaver started gathering up sticks and things and everything he could to barrage the doorway to prevent that energy from coming back through. So the beaver tends to be as creative as possible to get done what's needed. So that very much fits with the creativity center of the carnelian. The cardinal, which let's look at the feather of the cardinal first. The red coloring of the cardinal feather relates to, in a way, the root chakra, that place of where our groundedness comes through. And yet this feather has tinges of orange in it as well. So grounding in that creativity, our creative powers, just like the beaver. However, this card, the cardinal, says, stand tall and proud to see the leadership role unfolding ahead of you. It makes me think of our own creativity. We have to be willing to move forward with it. We can move forward with the creativity of others, but what kind of drive do we really have to do that? This is really speaking to our own creative endeavors and how we might bring those forward into the world. Cardinal also makes me think of Aries as a cardinal sign as one who begins things. It's the beginning of spring. After the winter has allowed something to rest and cultivate within us, then we can come out of the winter into the spring and unfold that within us. So this particular path for today really seems to be concentrating on those lower chakras, the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, and what we might be able to bring into the world from within us with great creativity and power. The power to stand up, the power to hold back waters of differing opinions, the power of just standing in our own being. And now for the Shamanic Reiki portion of this path. I'm first going to ground within myself and invoke the Reiki symbols. And now I'm going to take the carnelian crystal and hold it as well over the cards, allowing that energy to flow, opening up my third eye, concentrating on the messages to come forth of the carnelian, the beaver, and the Five of Wands, and the cardinal energies. Paying attention to the sensations in my body and any visions that come. I'm noticing an energy of movement that's front to back near my heart center. Now the energy has moved between my 6th and 7th chakras, kind of moving up and down in that area. And I feel an expansion in my hands with the carnelian. I think these particular energies are showing that from the heart first, then the mind produce the greatest amount of creativity that's being shown here. There's a lot of energy really in the hands, which I would expect from the Reiki, but I feel like I'm supposed to open them. And maybe that's a symbol of keeping this close within and then opening. And now within my inner vision, I see windows opening to the outside into greenery. There's light coming through the trees. And it's like I've flown out the window and now I'm free to fly around. I'm flying through the forest, but there seems to be fog, or what looks like fog from the light coming through. And I see my body as being a very bright white bird, almost of light. Going through this tunnel of the forest. Seeking my path. there seems to be an opening within the forest. It's kind of in the shape of a circle. And light is gathering towards this circle. And I'm feeling the energy in both hands starting to pulsate. While I think of different kinds of creativity coming forth as in ceremony. So it's like there was an initiation from my own or from the birds' creativity that now others are gathering to join in with their creativity. For a greater expansion of that creativity as a whole. So this action of creativity that we need to bring forth within us is not just for ourselves. It is for the greater good. For us to, as the Cardinal puts it, stand tall and proud. See the leadership role unfolding ahead of you. So in this path, this supportive energy path, you are the lead in the gathering of greater creativity within the community. And now we're going to begin the supportive resonance section for Path 1. Hello to people on the path of number 2 for today. We have this stone of agate. It might be white agate, or I think it was called Botswana agate or something. But it seemed to be related to calming mental activity or balancing it. So we're talking about the 6th and 7th chakras for this one. Interesting little pathway that this one has through it. On the back side, it seems to show this pathway. On the front side, there seems to be a cave or an access point that you would have to know about to ever see it, because it might be hidden from your view if you're looking at it from the wrong perspective, or from a different perspective, not necessarily wrong, but that certain perspectives will allow you to see that there's an opening in the cave. Might have to do with the light. If I lower this into the tarot card, you can't see the pathway, but as I raise it into a white space, it reveals itself. The pathway could be near this pathway on the back. You notice it's not at the very beginning of the pathway. It's off to the side. And yet, it offers an option for engaging with that pathway. For the Knight of Pentacles, we have this donkey. And pentacles generally are of the physical realm. And of work and mental activity. Of course, donkeys are known for their stubbornness, of not wanting to budge from their own perspective. And yet I think they are rather congenial animals. There's a softness within them. And yet, don't get cross with them, or they will tell you how it is. They will kick you without notice. The turkey. And let's look at the feather of the turkey first. It seems like the turkey feather has many pathways along its stem. A lot of rough feathers before the more smooth ones, and finishing off with more feathery-ish, somewhat separated feathers. I don't know, can you describe feathers within a feather? But perhaps there's an area that's troublesome to get through before you get into areas that are more free-flowing and before other choices are made. there are delineations here that let you know that something else is occurring. It's not all one color. Because if you only have one color, you won't be able to see those variations, even if they're present. Now the turkey card says, honor your own time of harvest. Offer your gifts and blessings in service to the greater good. I wonder what the donkey and the turkey have in common. They definitely have their own ways of being. And the donkey and its stubbornness, in a sense, is honoring what it wants. It's saying, this is definitely what I want, and this is definitely what I don't want. But the turkey is saying that it seems to be time to offer something in your gifts. It's the time of harvest. Soon in the US, at least, will be Thanksgiving Day. And perhaps that's why the turkey is showing its face. To give thanks for our gifts, perhaps. Both the turkey and the agate seem to have aspects of being able to see certain things, being able to see the pathway through the cave or the paths within the turkey feather. This reminds me that donkeys are often used in the Grand Canyon to navigate those treacherous paths, to haul in what's needed by people. They seem willing and honored to pack supplies to a point. So maybe this is about honoring the donkey for what he's willing to do. Honoring ourselves for what we are willing or wanting to do. But the turkey also says in service to the greater good. And it certainly seems like the donkey is offering something in service to the greater good as he packs the materials that some people seem to need. The donkey is going on a pathway, perhaps down into the Grand Canyon or some other treacherous terrain that makes it difficult for others to transport a lot of supplies at once. His pathway seems to be open based on the wants and needs of others. Whereas the agate is showing something that's hidden. And the turkey seems to know its pathway, but it may or may not have honored that to open it up and to bring it forward. And thinking back on the agate and it being of the 6th and 7th chakra, and it's supposed to help with anxiety, to give some balance. Depending on the type of agate, it could also go down through the chakras for that balance. The donkey, of course, needs to have a load that's balanced, or it will harm him, or it will make him cranky. But I guess the donkey does what it can do well. And if we all did what we did well, if we honored that, if we brought it to harvest, and in service to the greater good, that might be a great thing. Now I'm going to ground these energies in a little more by grounding myself and drawing in the Reiki energies. Just take me a couple of minutes. And then I'm going to hold this agate and see what messages might want to come through further about the agate, the donkey, and the turkey. I feel like I'm in some kind of white room, and yet it feels like there's lots of chairs in it, which makes it kind of theater-ish, but I'm being kind of shown around inside of this room. It's fairly barren, but there are, it's white-walled and it has windows with white curtains. It seems to be high up, as if you could see a view, and yet I don't particularly see a view, and yet as I say that, I'm now seeing a close-up of water. And I was wondering, had to look to see what the donkey was about. It's the Knight of Pentacles, so we're talking about physical nature, mental nature. And with the sight of the water, I was wondering about emotions, but seeing the water just kind of gently flow against the shore, where there are smallish rocks, smooth rocks, which makes me think about the origins of the agate. and the fact that it tumbles around in the sea, which smooths it out. And often, and I think that's what attracted me to this particular stone, it initially, when I purchased it, was that it really mirrors, those hidden caves on a shoreline. And I feel like I'm being guided towards one of those caves. But I was thinking about our hidden talents. Like when our perspectives change and suddenly we realize something that's always been there, but seeing it in a slightly different way brings greater wisdom to us. It means more to us than it did before. I'm noticing the erosion lines, and that that show the different layers of the soil over eons. Some are the pale beige, and some are brighter orangish, burnt orange color, the striations of the earth. Okay, now this is strange. Suddenly I'm looking through a window into a city street, and I'm traveling like through buildings. And that changed into more vegetation, but then I see also where a fire has come through and the remains of that fire. And my thoughts go to that being in the busy city can perhaps cause burnout. And that thought leads to perhaps that our creativity and what we can do in the world can be burned out, and we can not find a connection to it in our path when we're so busy. It needs more space. Kind of like when you would if you were to wander into a cave, you would do it cautiously, not knowing what might be in that cave, or if there's another side where it, eventually goes out. I think that it is the message coming through the Shamanic Reiki for today. And now for the supportive resonance of Path 2. Hello to path number 3. In this path we have the Priscilla Bluestone Heart. And Priscilla Bluestone is a material that Stonehenge is constructed out of, or cut, or whatever process created Stonehenge. This is the stone that's found there. And it's also a stone relates to balancing all of the chakras. This is a stone in particular that I find very powerful in holding. Even though it's a very small stone, it has a very strong vibration to it. And I have a particular connection to Stonehenge myself, in that I was guided on a trip, a spiritual guided trip, back in 2015. And I wanted to go to certain sites and create drawings under the energy of those sites. And as I remember, the drawing that I created at Stonehenge had to do with like a portal, or sort of like a web-looking portal. And although I feel grateful that I had that experience, unfortunately, I did not know that the English fairly celebrate it as a big party, more than they honor that site as existing and what it may or may not stand for. But in any case, Priscilla Bluestone is quite a powerful little stone. I guess whatever size that you get it in. And its properties are about balancing within all of the chakras. I just noticed that I interchanged the cards as I put this particular path together. Perhaps we're supposed to look at the raven first before the hierophant and the rat. And as I've been doing in these, I've been looking at the feather first. So ravens, of course, have black feathers. And although this card doesn't show it as much, and I don't know if there's differences between ravens and crows and their feathers, but there's typically an iridescence, or a quality of iridescence within the black. So although we perceive it to be largely black, as it moves through the light, it can shift or glint off various rainbow colors. Thinking about that and the Priscilla Bluestone, and the fact that Stonehenge is the portal or opening to the summer on the summer solstice. So, in a sense, the Brazilian bluestone is allowing light to come through. Perhaps light to come through to glisten off of things in the way that we perceive them. That in one light it's one thing and something totally different in another. If the light did not glint off of the raven, we would not see those other colors that are present. In fact, we wouldn't see anything at all if there weren't different shades of light. That's one of the things that help us to perceive an object, is its light and its shadow. It's one of the things that allows you to draw an object, is to know their or see those light and shadow areas. The more of the shadows and the light that you see, the better you are at drawing. So the raven says, the universe is calling you to notice important synchronicities. Perhaps the light that we were just talking about has to do with those synchronicities that need the light quality to actually allow us to see them. Whatever your perspective is, there are going to be things that you won't be able to see because of it, and other things that you will be able to see because of it. So the greater your area of perception, the more you should be able to see. In this card, noted as the Hierophant, we have some rats, but one seems to be much larger than the others. We also have a key in the background and some translucent windows of color. The translucent windows of color make me think of the many variations that could be in the raven's feather. In general, the Hierophant card is about knowledge and wisdom and a particular perspective. It relates to ancestral knowledge and sort of that balance between the law and what we know to be true within ourselves. On this card, I see the other rats below, which appear smaller, and that they're following what appears to be a lead, the one of wisdom. They perhaps think that he has the key, she has the key. Maybe they are seen as an elder who has seen and experienced many things. And that wisdom goes, perhaps this rat thinks that wisdom goes beyond anything else. Perhaps beyond the perceptions of others of what right and wrong. Perhaps towards thinking that their perception is the best perception. There's a quality of give in here that relates to going your own way despite circumstances. And yet there's also kind of this rigidity because it's kind of based on past experiences. And only those experiences within our own tribe, perhaps. Together, these items, I think, are alluding to this flexibility in perception. The raven says to notice important synchronicities. It seems to allude to noticing things out of your current perceptions, maybe broadening those perceptions, maybe shining more light on them. I don't think this means betraying our current knowledge, the knowledge of the past. The saying goes something about don't forget our history, as we may repeat it if we do. So don't forget about what you've learned, what you've seen, what you've known about, but also be open to what wasn't true, what you might not know about, what perceptions the light coming in may shine on past experiences, past history. To inaccuracies. I guess I'm thinking about instances where we try to look better for ourselves and claiming that others are in the wrong without acknowledging the aspects within ourselves or within our lives or within actual history that portray us ourselves in a bad or shadowy way. I think it's good to shed light on things and be broader in our perspectives without having hatred for instances, for existing instances. To have compassion for what has occurred. History has occurred, which can't be changed. Or can it? Some perspectives say that we can change our past. We can heal ourselves and have an effect on our past that then heal situations in the present. But thinking about these times and a lot of attention being placed on truths, it seems that we need less rigidity and more flexibility. To know that there are aspects of truth and falsity in the same story. And to realize or be inquisitive about why people want the story to be one way or the other. What investment do they have? What investment do you have in your own stories, in your own lives? And how does that reflect and create your life path? How does it restrict your movement or free you? Where do you place your values? I was thinking about the raven. Well, and maybe the rat too. Many people value the raven more than they would the rat. And yet both have their qualities and their place in the world. It makes me think of neighborhood issues and whether you should leave your cats inside or outside, allow them to go outside. Whether the rats should be poisoned. Whether the squirrels are just as much pests as the rats. But we're all living here on this earth. Killing the other only kills a part of ourselves. Making an animal stay indoors may enhance our lives, but what about theirs? There's a lot of dangers in our world. And from that perspective, we should never go outside because we could get shot, we could get into a car accident and die. No one knows our path and how it will end up. But it seems that freedom of choice is often a path we choose. And I think maybe these cards are alluding to the fact that we need to have that greater flexibility to allow that freedom to occur and to come through. And now we're going to go into the Shamanic Reiki portion of Path 3. And I'm going to start by grounding myself in and drawing the Reiki symbols. So that will just take me a moment. Please be patient. And I'm going to hold the Brazili bluestone as I do this. Just sinking into the energies. I'm seeing a bright light kind of radiating. And some greenery around that light. Within darkness. It seems like I'm only able to see to the left, and I see that line between the greenery opened by the light and the darkness that's kind of more behind me. And now light's popping in from the back, like the sun, and now I'm in the forest. I'm on a path, and the light is coming through the trees. And I'm moving past her. See a path over to the right that looks foggy with sunlight, but I'm moving past it. See a lot of trees. A lot of filtered light coming through the trees, through the bottoms of the trees. And the light's getting brighter. I'm suddenly feeling the Brazili bluestone more powerful in my hands. And sensing the light over the top of me, coming through, or down, shining above me. As if I'm standing in the forest with the sun directly overhead in an opening. And the light's getting brighter. Very bright white light. And I'm seeing a city with this bright light over it. The tops of buildings that I'm moving past. And a mountain above. I'm reminded of a trip that, because it feels like now this is a train. It's not a city, but a train moving up this mountainside. So I'm reminded of having taken the train up through a Skagway in August. And just thinking about that story of the gold rush and the things that happened. This rush for money. The people and horses that died. The beauty of Alaska. And the destruction that occurs with mining sometimes. Sometimes to obliteration. Suddenly I noticed an energy in my heart that I think was trying to tell me that this is a place of lack of heart, that we need more heart into our activities than doing them for a specific purpose. This reminds me of how I have difficulties with the way that we currently make decisions in the world, which is more of a mind-related than a heart-related avenue. It's more of a product-driven and money-driven than community-driven, than people-driven. It's like our economy defines us versus the people in our lives defining the economy. And what are the things that you value for your life? What makes life worth living? Not what makes you worthy to live. And I think as I take a deep breath and resonating with that, that is the point here. And now for the supportive resonance of path number 3. So thank you for joining me today on this first traversal of the choice of different paths through cards and crystals, through Shamanic Reiki, and through supportive sound resonance. It was a very interesting process for me, shifting back and forth between camera angles. And I'm sure it's going to develop more in the future. I may end up doing the piles on different days. It was quite a bit of energy coming through. But let's see how this goes for this first round of choosing the paths. Thanks for joining me today.